Evening, President Carter quickly making good on an often repeated campaign promise. Today, pardon Vietnam draft dodgers. The pardon, however, does not apply to deserters. He ordered a new study of their cases. More from Bob Schieffer.
Mr. Carter's proclamation is slightly broader than expected in that it provides pardons not only for those convicted of evading the draft, but also for those who failed to register for the draft at all and in some cases fled the country to avoid prosecution. About 9,000 men have been convicted of draft dodging during the Vietnam era. Another 2,600 are still under indictment awaiting trial, and another 1,200 are under investigation. All of those men will be pardoned if their violations did not include what the White House called acts of force or violence. The White House had no firm figure on how many men failed to register, but some estimates place that number as high as 250,000. They too will be pardoned. Those who became citizens of other countries will now be allowed to reapply for U.S. citizenship if they choose and can re-enter the country without penalty in the meantime. In addition, the Attorney General has been instructed to dismiss the charges in such a way that they can never be reopened. Mr. Carter's plan makes no provision for those who deserted after they entered the armed forces, but spokesman Jody Powell says the Pentagon is making a full review of that subject and that Mr. Carter will take no action on the desertion questions until that review is completed. Powell says Mr. Carter realizes his plan will not please everyone. In fact, he says in some, those who wanted a broader proposal and those who wanted less than Mr. Carter proposed today would probably outnumber those who are pleased with Mr. Carter's final plan. But, adds spokesman Powell, the president believes he has taken a proper and moderate course of action. Bob Schieffer, CBS News, the White House.
The president was right. Angry reaction came quickly from both sides. Those who opposed his order completely, and those who thought it did not go far enough. Among the latter, the more vocal and dissident evaders and deserters living in Canada. Steve Young reports from Toronto.
Even though the president had promised an announcement in the first week of his administration, the decision on the second day came as a jolt. Amnesty advocates in the states had alerted draft evader Steve Grossman that the decision was imminent, and he stood by as the radio played "Our Day Will Come." His face plainly showed when he learned the news that he felt his day had not come, even though he had been pardoned by the president.
It seems to be quite literally the draft resistors only pardon that he ran around the country talking about. It's a straight race class line. Certainly, it's not even near the Democratic Party platform. It's the meagerest possible amnesty.
Today, at least, evaders were putting up a united front here with deserters who now face an uncertain future. Like deserter John Harvey, most war resistors still in Canada have been here for years. Perhaps to protect themselves from today's disappointment, the Harveys said they did not want to return to live in the U.S. anyway, but did want to be able to visit. There was not much comfort in knowing that President Carter has ordered a study of what to do about deserters and veterans with less than honorable discharges.
There was just last Saturday a $225,000 study conducted by two of the chief legal counsels to the Ford Clemency Program. The Ford Clemency Program released its report. The studies are done, and I think it's a ploy by Carter to imply that he may do something when he intends to do nothing whatsoever.
The disappointment seemed genuine, even though draft evaders are now free to return. The war resistor community had hoped at the very least that deserters would be considered for pardons on a case-by-case basis. The united response to President Carter's decision today will be framed at an international amnesty conference to be held here next weekend. Steve Young, CBS News, Toronto.
Other reaction to the pardon divided like the hawk and dove division of the Vietnam War itself. And here's a sampling.
For a boy to walk out of this country and turn his country down, then I say he should never be an American citizen again. And I think what the president did, as I said, was disgraceful. And I'm very disturbed because I had high hopes that President Carter would make a good president.
I'm sure there will be some visible displays of unhappiness and deep disappointment on behalf of the American people and members of the American Legion.
Are you talking in terms of demonstrations?
Possibly, yes.
I just don't feel that they're going to be welcome in these little 5,000 and 10,000 communities across this nation, and they're going to be deserving of getting the coldest shoulder they could possibly get.
I used to be against blanket amnesty until the day that Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon. And I thought at the time that if Richard Nixon didn't have to earn his way back, I thought that people who evaded the draft as a matter of conscience during the Vietnam War should not have to earn their way back.
Now that the decision's been made by the Commander-in-Chief, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that it will not be a divisive act. Because if it is, it will weaken this country militarily and will be injurious to our morale.
When Bill and I were dating, he used to be so romantic. You know, he hasn't changed a bit.
It shouldn't matter that you wear dentures. Today, you have the best cleaning polident ever. We've added more cleansers, more whitener, and a unique penetrating ingredient that helps lift away odor-causing film to leave dentures clean and up-close fresh. Polident, we want you to stay close.
In the country or in town, going up or coming down, on the sidewalk, on the grass, fading back to throw a pass, on a sailboat or a bus, when there's just the two of us, the incredible edible egg.
Anytime, any place, reach for an egg. They're versatile, economical, highest quality protein. You can always use eggs, so keep enough on hand.
The incredible edible egg.
With the pardon being an obvious exception, Mr. Carter spent most of his first full day at the White House partying, greeting guests from 10 o'clock in the morning until late afternoon, as Ed Bradley reports.
This was a combination pleasure, business, and just plain moving in day at the White House. Almost 5,000 people attended a series of receptions. Most of this first group, 1,000 strong, are people who during the 2 years of the Carter campaign put up the president or a member of his family for the night. Each received a small bronze plaque from the first family. Also coming to call were the nation's governors and cabinet members. And then there were some 2,000 people, including members of the Democratic National Committee led by Chairman Kenneth Curtis, and also a group of prominent business and labor leaders. And then a final group, 1,800 Georgians, many of them members of the Peanut Brigade, some of Mr. Carter's earliest supporters, who paid their own way to knock on doors urging Carter votes in the early primaries. Around the press office, old Carter campaign staffers struggled to grasp the complexities of their new White House assignments, weighted down by a mass of paperwork, a complex telephone system, and not enough people to answer all of those blinking lights. Some offices are still empty, as all of the jobs haven't been filled, and some people aren't even really sure just what it is they're supposed to do. The president's still desk, still carrying ID tags, was in place, but it really wasn't new. It was made from the timbers of the old British ship, the Resolute, and it was a gift from Queen Victoria, and had been used by every president from Rutherford B. Hayes down to Lyndon Johnson. Late today, the president met with his energy advisor, Dr. James Schlesinger, and later the president said the natural gas industry would work with government and Mr. Schlesinger to seek legal ways to provide a more equitable distribution of natural gas. And the president urged all Americans to turn their thermostats down to 65 degrees during the day and even lower at night. Ed Bradley, CBS News, Washington.
It didn't take former President Ford long to get to the golf course. Shortly after arriving in California yesterday afternoon, he went to a practice tee and hit balls for about 20 minutes. Today, playing with an 18-stroke handicap, he teed off in the Bing Crosby Pro-Am tournament at Pebble Beach. Murray Frumpson reports.
Today, for the first time, we have the honor of having a United States President playing the Crosby.
It's hardly the way most political leaders in the world envisioned their first day out of power. Teeing off, Mr. Ford took a hefty swing that promptly sent his first shot 40 yards off course into the trees. But there wasn't much else the former president could complain about today. The 70-degree temperature would be the envy of most of the country, though not his golf score, which was considerably higher. The tournament is one of the socially in events on the golf circuit, attracting many well-known athletes and entertainers. Ford's mind was clearly on golf. When reporters tried to ask him about President Carter's unconditional pardon of draft evaders, tournament officials saw to it that there was plenty of distance between Mr. Ford and his frustrated questioners. He'll spend the next few days golfing, then undertake some speaking engagements. But aides claim Mr. Ford has declared a moratorium on any political statements for at least the next 30 days. Murray Fromson, CBS News, Pebble Beach, California.
Out here, we don't use many medicines. We stick with what we know is good. So now and then, when constipation's a problem, we let chocolated X-Lax help. I always know just how it'll work. Gently, overnight, for relief in the morning. Plus, my family likes the taste. That counts, too. I've heard more families buy X-Lax than any other brand. People know what's good. Now you know, too.
Try gentle chocolated X-Lax. Good medicine at a good price.
Here's a hi-fi bargain from your nearby Radio Shack store. Save $100 on our exclusive realistic 77 AM/FM stereo receiver. Only $159.95 during this sale. With audio component features like FM muting, push-button tape monitor, main remote speaker switching, in a genuine walnut veneer case. The ideal control center for your new music system. The sale-priced realistic 77 receiver. Only at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
Today's weather was back to normal in much of the eastern half of the country. Temperatures were in the 20s and the 30s in the north. And in Miami, which had snow flurries earlier this week, the high today was 62. But in several states, the cumulative effects of the bitter cold still are being felt, as Don Webster reports.
The Dayton area probably has the most serious energy crisis in the country. The governor's state of emergency covers the area served by Dayton Power and Light, portions of 24 counties with 1,300,000 persons. At a meeting today, school and government officials learned just how serious the situation is. The basic shortage is natural gas, but there are other problems as well.
We are just within inches of being out of oil, inches of being out of propane. It's a transportation problem, it's an availability problem, and all of these things, so it's not just a natural gas.
Among the problems is that with the rivers frozen and other means of transportation strained because of the weather, alternative sources of fuel can't reach the area either. The governor's order means that school districts in the 24 counties must close for 30 days.
Well, we're definitely going to stay open this next week so we can finish final exam. As far as athletics goes, it's going to destroy a lot of young men's opportunity for athletic scholarships.
Some school districts plan to try to make up the lost time by extending school into the summer months when the weather's warm. But this may wipe out summer jobs for some students and disrupt vacation plans. Effective today, all stores in the region are restricted to 40 hours a week of operation.
Well, it's impossible to estimate the dollar loss. There will be some, but there'll be a loss really to every citizen in the community. We're all going to have to pay some sort of a price. We're all going to have to turn back thermostats. We're all going to have to be a little uncomfortable, a little inconvenienced, but we think we'll get through the crisis.
Why did the crisis hit Dayton, Ohio? A state Senate investigation is being launched to find the answer. And there are warnings Dayton may be a portent of things to come.
We very sincerely hope that this will draw attention to a national problem, which is a national energy shortage. Dayton had the cold weather this year. Next year it'll be someone else, and if we don't deal with the overall problem, we face many more Daytons in the future.
Schools rather than industries are being shut down because it's thought it's essential to preserve jobs. But drastic industrial cutbacks could be the next step. Don Webster, CBS News, Dayton, Ohio.
Late today, state energy officials backed off on the order to close schools and restrict store hours. They asked instead for voluntary cooperation, so they discovered they didn't have the authority to issue the orders. The Dow Jones Industrial Average edged up by almost 3.5 points today. Volume on the New York Stock Exchange was 23,900,000 shares. The average price per share increased 13 cents on the New York Exchange, 8 cents on the American. 1 year ago today, the British-French supersonic transport, the Concorde, began commercial service. The estimated loss for the year, $54 million. One bright note, though, say the Concorde people, the London-Washington service, which didn't begin until last May, has been doing well, with 93% of the seats filled. A decision's due next month on whether Concorde will be granted potentially lucrative landing rights in New York. Environmentalists oppose that idea. Before the Lebanese Civil War began 19 months ago, southern Lebanon was a staging area for Palestinian guerrilla raids into Israel. Well, today, the Lebanese government ordered that the raids not be renewed, and a high-ranking official of the Palestine Liberation Organization said in Amman, Jordan, that the PLO would comply, in order, he said, to give the Israelis no excuse for intervention in southern Lebanon. Egypt's price increase riots seem to be over. Apparently, the army's restored calm, but the 2.5 days of rioting took almost 100 lives, with 800 injured and more than 1,000 under arrest. The lower house of the Italian Parliament has passed one of Western Europe's most liberal abortion laws, in spite of strong Vatican opposition. The measure, which is given a good chance for final passage in the Senate, would allow women 16 years and older to have free abortions on demand within the first 3 months of pregnancy. Transfiguration, the last major work of the Renaissance master Raphael, has been returned to the Vatican Museum in Rome after 5 years of restoration. Removed from the painting was a thick 2-century-old layer of yellow varnish revealing vivid colors and detail. Art experts say this indicates, contrary to earlier beliefs, that Raphael did the entire painting, which was commissioned in 1517.
The kangaroo one. Oh, my stomach.
There.
Who are you?
I'm Mother Tums. Tell me where it hurts.
Acid indigestion, gas.
Take Tums for the tummy.
Are they strong?
For neutralizing acid, Tums are 1/3 stronger for the money than the other leading tablet.
Thanks, Mother Tums. Oh, Vern, hey, did you hear the one about the kangaroo? You'll love this one.
Tums, 1/3 stronger.
There.
Morning, Tom. Morning. Pounding that pavement yesterday sure got me, George. This nagging backache ruined my sleep.
Here, start taking these this morning.
Dome's pills?
They sure help me.
When nagging backache due to overexertion or everyday stress and strain comes on, Doan's pain-relieving action often brings temporary relief and lets you get a good night's sleep.
How's the back, Tom?
Good.
Oh, great. I'm
Try Doan's pills for relief of nagging backache.
Washington's train station, its airports and bus terminals were swarming today with thousands of persons heading home after the big inaugural party. And in the capital city itself, workmen were putting away the inaugural paraphernalia. Bernard Shaw reports.
The rented chairs on which VIPs sat are being folded, stacked, and loaded. Gone are the huge speakers which boomed Jimmy Carter's voice out over the East Capitol Plaza into the ears of shivering thousands. And workmen struggled to untangle a maze of cables. Over the next couple of weeks, workers will dismantle the $325,000 inaugural platform. By contractual agreement with Congress, the local company that built the stand can keep the columns and moldings and sell to the highest bidder lumber salvage from demolition. Downtown in front of the White House, the props of history are falling much faster. The rented $25 a seat bleacher stands are coming down plank by plank. The solar energy heating system in the parade reviewing stand is being drained for shipment back to Georgia Tech University. Did this unit keep the president warm?
Well, I tell you, we were able to collect solar energy during the period it was up here in Washington. We didn't collect as much solar energy as we would like to have collected, but he was heated by solar energy as well as conventional energy. But I cannot say that he was heated 100% by solar energy. That would be not true at all. But we did provide solar energy, and the units worked just fine.
The parade reviewing stand will be shipped to Atlanta for use as a band shell in a downtown park. Bernard Shaw, CBS News, Washington.
During his 8 years in government service, Henry Kissinger's name became synonymous with U.S. foreign policy. Kissinger now returns to private life, but his legacy continues. Marvin Kalb takes a look at the record.
A little more than 8 years ago, Henry Kissinger was a relative unknown, an academician plucked out of Harvard to help a new president, Richard Nixon, shape American foreign policy. His job, National Security Advisor. The combination, Nixon and Kissinger, proved to be formidable, if flawed. The biggest challenge was Vietnam, ending a long, hopeless war on American terms, so the Russians would still think the U.S. was strong, loyal to allies, the pillar of Western defenses. It took thousands of extra lives, tons of bombs, years of negotiation to try to make that point to Moscow. The point was never made. Intertwined with this regional mess was a global strategy based on a big power balance between Russia, China, and the United States. Kissinger's idea, and he had Nixon's support. The centerpiece was the breakthrough to Peking, capped by Nixon's summit with the late Mao Zedong in February 1972. The aim was to gain leverage on Moscow. The strategy worked. 3 months later, Nixon was given a triumphant welcome to the Soviet capital. Kissinger had arranged a series of bilateral agreements, including the first strategic arms agreement between the two superpowers, an historic development that crowned his policy of détente. Kissinger's reputation expanded. He was a swinger to some, a schemer to others. Either way, he became one of the most popular men in America. And in the summer of 1973, when Nixon began to worry about Watergate, he turned to Kissinger and appointed him Secretary of State, the first naturalized American to hold the job and the first Jew.
I think I don't stand on protocol. If you'll just call me Excellency, we'll be getting...
When the Arabs attacked Israel in October 1973, they knew they were throwing a strong challenge at Kissinger that he had to accept. How to reconcile Arab-Israeli differences while at the same time enhancing America's position in the Middle East at Russia's expense. Shuttle diplomacy was born in the embers of that conflict. First, an Egyptian-Israeli agreement, then a Syrian-Israeli agreement. A second-stage Sinai agreement was to follow later. Kissinger was at the peak of his power. Nixon resigned in disgrace. A new president needed Kissinger, and Kissinger had nowhere to go but down. Slowly, one issue after another picking away at his reputation and his power. Wiretapping. What was his role? It is still before the courts. Cyprus, July 1974. Kissinger seemed to tilt the wrong way, and Congress, fed up with his style of secrecy, voted to cut off military aid to Turkey. Chile, September 1974. Kissinger was accused of masterminding a covert CIA operation. Vietnam, April 1975. His policy collapsed when the communists won and America's ally fled. Angola, November 1975. Kissinger wanted to confront the Russians and the Cubans, but Congress was not interested in another overseas adventure. The Republican National Convention, August 1976. Kissinger's policy of détente was attacked. Kissinger himself told to stay away until the last day. 10 weeks later, Ford lost, Carter won, and the curtain was lowered on the Kissinger era. Kissinger says it is too early to assess his contribution to history, which is probably true. It is certainly too early to judge if his contribution will be lasting or will come to be regarded as a meteor that then fizzled out. But it's clear that though he came to town an improbable hero, thinking big thoughts about balancing big powers, he developed into an extraordinary day-to-day negotiator, one of the most controversial figures in modern diplomacy, casting his own shadow over much of the globe. Marvin Kalb, CBS News, the State Department.
It's new, and I love it. Rose Milk Moisturizing Face Cream. You know, I've had it with those oily creams, but Rose Milk Face Cream is really different. Leaves my skin soft, younger looking, and never greasy. My face feels so fresh. Its natural moisturizers do for your face what Rose Milk Skincare Cream does for your hands and body. Use it under makeup and at bedtime. Try new Rose Milk Moisturizing Face Cream. You can really feel and see the difference.
The makers of Metamucil, a fine laxative, would like to recommend something else. Nature. Follow nature's directions, and you should be regular. But when you occasionally need help, remember, Metamucil is made from grain, not strong chemicals. So it relieves easily, gradually, comfortably. Try to follow nature's directions. When you don't, try Metamucil, the laxative made from grain. If not nature, Metamucil.
Eric Severide comments on the mood, the good feeling with which the Carter presidency has begun.
Many countries set aside a whole week for it, and every year, fiesta time, carnival time. It loosens a lot of knots in the personal and social system. But America was founded by Puritans, so a bicentennial party last July 4th and yesterday's inaugural, both in a 6-month period, were better than par for our course. The country felt better and needed to feel better. Not fired up. There was no call for a crusade yesterday, no challenge to cross new frontiers. It was a call to goodness, not a call to greatness, because Mr. Carter's central belief, though not original with him, is that America cannot be great unless it is good. Americans have experienced occasional periods, what historians like to call an era of good feeling. The first in Monroe's time, the last in Eisenhower's time. Carter would like to preside over such an era, and he has started well. Yesterday, he turned this capital city, at least, into a pleasant village of neighborly intimacies. If he gave Americans a sense of relief, it was because he touched their nerve of common sense. America resents the accusation that it's the world's villain, and he knows it can't go on trying to be the world's hero. It is even losing its impulse to be the world's judge. It would like to be the world's dependable friend, trusted because it is true to its own best instincts. And there were intimations yesterday that by its moral example alone, America will influence the world. In a diffused, long-distance sense, it can, but not by any means in all situations at all times. Morality was identified as weakness by the man named Hitler. Mr. Carter is aware of all that. No Navy man of middle age can forget the song of World War II, so he may praise the Lord, but he will pass the ammunition. Yesterday, this quintessentially American man sounded an almost European tone. Older societies know that time is life, that human problems are not really solved, they are ameliorated at best, and a man or a government that can contribute to that is living life well. It is a search for the millennium that fortifies, not the finding. A man with an enormous ego drive asks humility of us and of himself. His will be the conspicuous test. His popularity this week is very high. It will probably never be higher. Every decision he now makes, like today's pardon, will bring him some enemies. But the whole point about popularity in a national leader is that it's a capital fund to be spent away if actions require it. And Carter is an active man.
This is Walter Cronkite, CBS News, reporting from Washington. Good night.
Presenting Betty Crocker Cake and Frosting. Betty Crocker Frosting. Superb spreadability. Rich, smooth, creamy. It's the crowning touch. And in the world of Devil's Food Cakes, one stands alone. Betty Crocker. A Betty Crocker Devil's Food Cake tastes deliciously moist. Tests show it tastes better than the other leading Devil's Food Cake mix. Betty Crocker Cake and Frosting. Why make anything less?
Folks, why do you eat Wheaties?
We like it.
But did you know it's always been whole wheat with all the bran, and bran is one of nature's best sources of food fiber.
That's news to us.
Wheaties breakfast this morning?
Sure, it helps me feel fit.
But do you know Wheaties has bran fiber your body may need?
That's news to me.
Why Wheaties?
Oh, we love the taste.
I have for years. But do you know for years you've been getting something extra for your diet? Bran fiber?
Well, that's news to me.
Wheaties. It's brand news.
From Washington, this has been the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite. Robert Lipschutz, counsel to the president, will be the guest this Sunday on Face the Nation. See the two top-ranked tennis players in the world compete for big prize money when Jimmy Connors and Bjorn Borg lead a field of 4 in the Grand Slam of tennis tomorrow and Sunday on CBS.
Stay tuned for Eyewitness News next on Channel 5, WTVF, Nashville.
Liquid Atrix for help. It's what you've always wanted, atrazine to be.
I think I get better coverage with Liquid Atrix, and that helps me get better control.
Liquid Atrix for help. It's what you've always wanted, atrazine to be.
Well, the liquid's easier, faster. I just pour it in a tank, and I'm ready to